Well, I happened to think of something I wanted to talk about, and I still had the green screen set up and the tripod was here. So I thought I will bring this up. Uh, as far as the wearing masks go, because I have noticed now, the last time I was in town, it had dropped off before, but now there's, a level of fear again, and I see people starting to wear masks again. Maybe getting close to 50%. At one time it was up around 90, had dropped off to maybe 10%. But now it's creeping up again. Though, really, there hasn't been any more cases here, and in all this going on, I actually only know of one person who supposedly had it. Or he said he felt sick for like 3 weeks. So evidently this is what he was supposed to have had. But these masks that people are wearing, that I see them run around with these cloth ones, are really useless. They can't filter out something that fine. It's more of a psychological thing. Though everybody I see wearing them is fiddling with them constantly, so that's. But they don't actually function to filter out a virus. If there was a virus going on, like I say, I have masks, but I use them when I'm glass beating because of the danger of the silica dust, and I don't care to do that, but you have to be on the safe side. And then the cabinet actually has got an exhaust fan and everything too. But I did have to wear a mask the other day. I went in, okay, my ma is in a veterans home and she has a loom there. Now, like 2 months ago when this shutdown hit, her loom was just going empty. I was going to go in like the next day to rewarp it. And all of a sudden we got the call that nobody could come. They shut that thing down tight. Well, and it was that way for 2 months. So she's been pretty anxious about getting warp on her loom. Well, now, last week, it was on Monday, like the week before, they allowed you could come visit somebody there, but you had to visit outside of the facility, like on a little patio bench they had set up. And you had to wear a mask and you had to maintain that 6 feet and, no contact and all this. And the whole hand sanitizer, which honestly it was the first time in my life I have ever used it. I really am not a believer in that, but these are their rules. In order to do this, I had to do it. Well, then last Monday they allowed me to actually go inside the facility to warp up the loom, and I think I'm the first outside person that's been in there for like 2 months. But there was a whole, they have to check your temperature at the door, and then the whole hand sanitizer deal, and then I had to wear a mask. And I could be in there for 3 hours. Well, normally I can warp a loom 2.5 hours. It isn't, I've done this thousands of times. No big deal. So I figured, okay, 3 hours, this is no problem. Particularly in that I was in a room, in their art room, and nobody else was allowed in there. They actually closed it. I wasn't allowed to leave. I was locked in there, kind of. I couldn't even use the bathroom. I was just there to warp the loom and then get the hell out again. But I had to wear a mask during this whole time. And I'm not criticizing them. They're following the guidelines that they have to follow. It's a state-run facility, so they have to do that. But I found wearing this mask for 3 hours to be extremely annoying. My glasses were fogging up all the time. You're rebreathing the carbon dioxide. It was very uncomfortable for that period of time. And I found myself making mistakes as I was warping this loom. So it was a good thing I had that extra half-hour buffer in there. In fact, I ran a little bit overtime, but they were willing to let me go a little bit longer because they wanted this done so she would get off there back about the loom. But it made me think of really somebody trying to make critical decisions or do anything intricate to be wearing a mask while you're doing it. And these weren't these cloth masks you see people run out. These were the medical grade, kind of a pleated thing, you know. And I don't think I want, I don't like the idea of anybody wearing one of them trying to make a very critical, crucial decision, because I know my judgment was impaired with that. I have done this, warped these looms thousands of times. I don't make mistakes. Here I find myself making mistakes. So I know there's a problem with these. I think, like I say, let's say even a police officer, if they have to be wearing a mask and a situation comes up where do you shoot or you not shoot, that's a judgment call you have to make. And I don't know that I want somebody wearing a mask having to make that judgment call. You know, I was actually surprised how much it screwed with my abilities to do this. But it's something to keep in mind. But like I said, these people running around with these cloth masks on, that's, it has become like a fashion statement. It's really almost worse than useless because it gives you a false sense of security. You know, you think, oh, as long as I got my mask on, I'm safe. Those masks make absolutely no difference. Especially, like I say, I see people fiddling, like in the stores where I see people wearing them. Every time they're going to talk to somebody, they pull the mask down to talk to them. Then they put the mask back up. The whole thing is defeated. Even just touching the mask is defeating the purpose of the thing. But yet, I see those masks for sale everywhere. And as long as, it doesn't matter what they're made of, people don't, as long as you're wearing a mask, people are happy. Though, like I say, they're actually worse than useless. Now, these medical grade ones like I had to wear, okay, they have a function. They will filter out, a certain percentage of the virus, even though they aren't 100%. You'd have to be a sealed chemical suit, you know, to have them 100%. But though they did serve their function, they disrupted my functioning. You know, so I think, ooh, you know, it's interesting, but I actually was a little surprised how much it screwed with me. But at least I'm done with that for a while now. But the idea is that I'm hoping because I got the feeling we're going to shut down again. Or like, we're not really shut down, but this VA facility, this could easily shut down again. If they have one case, I mean, they're gradually easing up the restrictions on this, but it's a very gradual thing. You know, that's why I thought it was funny when Trump went into that Walter Reed Hospital, he had to wear a mask. His was a little fancy with a presidential seal on it, and I doubt if it was actually medical grade. It looked like one of these cloth ones that I see all these yahoos wearing, but it had a presidential seal on it. But that's, you know, they have those regulations. He has to follow them, I have to follow them. Anybody who goes in one of the facilities has to follow them. But for some reason, on the news, they made it sound like this was a great triumph for mask wearing. Well, not really. It was just, that's part of the procedure. Because like I say, even now, and I don't think they're going to back off on this. I think this is going to go on for a while, that any time I go in there, if I go in there, I got to go through that big rigmarole, even just to visit her on the outside. It's a very similar rigmarole, and then you're, I think, allowed a maximum of like 2 hours You know, they gave me the 3 hours, and like I say, a little bit over, but that was a rare exception. But a lot of guys that are in there really want to be able to get out, get back to normal. This is driving them nuts being cooped up in there. And one of the things they always complain about, there's a barber that comes in and cuts their hair. Well, they can't let an outside barber come in. And now, you know, these military guys that used to have their hair cut very regularly. I think it's like once a week they used to go in there and there'd be a line of them waiting to get their hair cut, just bullshitting and waiting to get their hair cut. Well, that doesn't happen anymore. And I think these guys are feeling they're starting to look like hippies or something. They want to get their hair cut. And you know, the residents there are really not happy, but at the same time, like I say, it's a touchy situation. With a lot of these people are pretty vulnerable to something like that. So, you know, I have to play by the rules to do the thing. But otherwise, that's the only time I've ever wore a mask, the only time I've ever used that hand sanitizer in my life. You know, because I'm sure that does you no good. You use caution in what you touch. You know, you don't go licking toilet seats like I saw some video where somebody was doing that. I mean, even like doorknobs and stuff, I'm always touchy about where I hit the door. Or a lot of times if I'm wearing a sweatshirt, well, the sweatshirt kind of comes over, you know, before I open the door. But that's just common sense, and that is even in normal circumstances at hospitals, people did that. I know people who worked as like volunteers at the hospital quickly caught on that you have to be very careful because though they don't like to talk about it, things like staph infections run rampant in hospitals. People go in hospitals for some stupid thing and will get a staph infection and die. You know, so the volunteers that work there are very careful about this. You know, they don't go around like touching elevator buttons or something. You know, you use like a pencil or something. So you have to be aware of that stuff. But like I say, the false confidence that wearing these cloth masks gives you, that can be your undoing. You know, just stay the hell away from people. Though I tend to do that anyway. You know, I don't, if I see a line someplace, I'm not going to crowd into the line. I'll wait, I'll come back, whatever it is, I don't need it that badly. You know. But I just thought I'd tell you, the mask situation. I thought that was interesting.